Hey doing everyone, welcome back. Well, lost in the shuffle of some of the news of the last few days. Obviously Charlie Kirk and his assassination have been dominating the news cycle. But something that got lost, overlooked by a lot of people, was there was a discussion on Fox and Friends, the morning show on Fox News, right? And basically the discussion was about a situation, I want to say it was North Carolina. If you know for sure, please drop it in the comments below to let me know. But I'm pretty sure it was North Carolina, where a homeless man stabbed a woman to death. And again, if you know this, drop it in the comments below. I believe she was waiting for a subway. All right. So, woman gets stabbed to death by a homeless man. And Lawrence Jones on Fox and Friends, he is going on about, how we have to treat homeless people, and basically saying, well, they don't want help, and we're going to throw them in jail, and well, yeah, clearly people who have no experience with homeless people, right? You've got no experience with homeless people. I have firsthand experience from having been homeless. In fact, little over a year ago, I made a video. If I remember correctly, it was Idaho that wanted to criminalize homelessness, and I'd have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court upheld the idea that they can criminalize being homeless in Idaho. Anyway, I'm gonna link that video in the description, so if you want to go check that out. But yeah, I've been homeless, right? A homeless veteran, and that's something that, if I have time, I'll get into that here in a little bit. But in response to what Lawrence Jones was saying, about criminalizing these people, lock them up, throw them in jail. All right. In response to that, Brian Kilmeade decides that rather than doing the Lawrence Jones thing, which, I'm sorry, but making criminals out of people for being poor just makes no sense to me. But rather than just make them criminals, no. We'll give them involuntary lethal injections. Just kill them. Yes, he actually said the words, kill them. And he said that to give them involuntary lethal injections. Yeah, because like somebody's going to volunteer to get a lethal injection, right? Yeah. Involuntary lethal injection. Kill them. Now, Kilmeade did try to walk this back a bit. He issued something that somewhat sounded like an apology. But man, that genie's out of the bottle. That genie is out of the bottle. You went there. No one believes your apology, Brian. Plus, how many people saw that apology compared to the original comment? apologies and corrections don't get apologies and corrections don't get covered once it's out there, right? And meanwhile, right, Brian Kilmeade, he still has a job. But was it Matthew Dowd, I think his name was, got fired from MSNBC for some comments that were not at all inaccurate. In fact, he made some accurate comments, but they were insensitive, I guess, because it was, about Charlie Kirk. I think it was the same day he was assassinated. But, he said some things that were truthful. They were accurate. It's not that he gave an opinion of Charlie Kirk that was unfavorable. He stated facts about things that Charlie Kirk had said and some positions that he'd held. And he got fired for that, right? Now, granted, MSNBC not the same as Fox News, right? Not the same. So, is Brian Kilmeade going to get fired for saying kill them when it comes to the homeless? Of course not. Of course not. Hell, he probably got $1 million a year raise for that. That's just disgusting. Like I said, I did a video a little over a year ago where Idaho decided to criminalize homelessness. And I'm going to link that video below in the description. But, in fact, Iowa, my own home state of Iowa, tried to criminalize homelessness just this year, right? It ended up not passing, which kind of surprised me considering the political makeup of our state government. I don't know if it just didn't get through committee or what happened exactly, but it didn't get passed, but the attempt was made. We can't help people who are homeless, right? We have to punish them, right? Because, being poor isn't already a punishment, right? Having no place to go isn't already punishment. Now we're going to punish you. We're going to... I can understand the argument where it's more humane to put them in jail because at least they're being fed and they have a roof over their heads. I get that. But jails are already overcrowded, for one, and for two, why should they have a criminal record just for being homeless? And, for those of you who want to say, well, get a job, you bum, it's not that easy, is it? And there will be, if you watch that video that I'm going to link to, I actually go more into that there. But, you take your average homeless person, right? In fact, you know what? Look at me now, right? A lot of people, if I go in looking for a job in a lot of places, and I have my own business, right? So I'm not, I have my own business and another job, right? So I don't have to worry about looking for a job at the moment, right? Looking the way I do. But let's take a look at this here, right? Right? Now, somebody comes in looking for a job, right? Maybe they kind of comb their hair a little bit the best they can, you know. But now imagine dirt smudges everywhere, right? And imagine that, my clothes are all dirty and torn up and whatnot. Would you hire me? Would you hire me? No, of course not. So get a job isn't as easy as get a job. First, you need a place to go get cleaned up, right? Get a shower, a haircut if you need one, you know. Get some presentable clothes. It's not that easy, is it? But sure, let's just kick them while they're down, right? Kick them while they're down. But you know what? Where did things start in Germany back in the 1930s? They started with the homeless, the vagrants, the whoever they deemed to be mentally ill. We have a mental health crisis. That right wing acknowledges that we have a mental health crisis. But then, when it's brought up to, okay, you acknowledge we have a mental health crisis, and you say that mental health issues lead to all these other problems in our society, which you're at least partly right on that. You are at least partly right. So, how about we fund mental health treatment? Well, no, we can't do that. We can't do that. Why not? Well, socialism, communism, whatever buzzword they want to use. That's why we can't fund mental health. And first of all, it's a lie that mental health is... Yes, a lot of people who are homeless have mental health issues, but it's not people are homeless because they have mental health issues necessarily. It is in some cases, but everything you know about homeless people, forget everything you know, because everything you know is wrong. All right? There is nuance to everything. There is nuance to everything. All right? A homeless person is homeless because they don't have the money to get a place to live. All right? That's what it is. What, you think I chose to be on the streets? I chose that? Well, I didn't choose it, but it happened, right? Now, admittedly, I was very stubborn, and I didn't want to admit, especially to my family, that I was in such a bad way. Didn't want to admit it. But my dad found out. He sent me some money. I came home, and ended up getting on my feet, right? Got up on my feet. And now that I have found a little bit of success, that ladder that I stepped up on, I'm leaving it down there so that somebody else can step up on that same ladder. Too many of us like to climb that ladder and then pull it up behind us. No, you leave that ladder there for someone else to climb. And better yet, direct them to where the ladder is. You know, the whole thing, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yeah. You can lead someone to that ladder, but you can't make them climb. Right? And granted, there are other circumstances that can make it difficult to climb that ladder as well. Right? And there are a handful who just don't want to do it. Just don't want to. But that is such a small number that, you know, to say that, well, they don't want help, you don't know what you're talking about. So they don't want help, so we're going to throw them in jail. And, well, no, better yet, let's just execute them. Yeah, lethal injection. Involuntary, of course, because you can't give them the option, hey, you want to take this shot here that's going to end your life? Come on. Do better. Do better, Kilmeade. I mean, Jones was bad enough, but, I mean, an argument could be made that he was at least looking for a way to get people off the streets that would help them by getting them fed, but it doesn't help them as far as, what are you going to do? Sentence them to life for being homeless? You're not going to sentence them for that long. And they're going to come out and they're going to be poor, and then they're going to be homeless again. And so you're going to round them up, put them back in jail, and the jails are already overcrowded because we already arrest way too many people for way too much nonsense, right? Our jails are look, there are legitimate crimes out there for which people need to be locked up. And then there are crimes out there for which people don't really need to be in jail. Maybe a fine or, some community service or something, right? It's nearly impossible to be a fully law-abiding citizen. And now, hey, you're homeless, so now you're a criminal. And then when you get out of jail, you're already a criminal because you got no place to go. What a brilliant idea. And we solve the problem by execute them. Yeah. I don't know. The way things are going, it wouldn't shock me if that actually starts happening soon. But if it does, we need to stand up and fight against it. I'll see you next time.